Okay. Hi, Judah. That's Judah. Are you just gonna stand there and watch from behind? Probably. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Erin. I am a broke girl with broke gear and I have no job. As of the filming of this, I have now been a month without a job. Have applied to 18 different places. Only had 3 interviews out of those 18 jobs, and it's been almost 2 weeks since the last interview that I had. Yeah, not looking so good. Trying to keep my hopes up. My dog is very much entertaining me. He's a golden retriever and he loves to be touched and needs constant affirmation that he is loved. So today, I thought I would show you guys the kind of gear that I have used over the past 10 years. Let me remind you, I'm a broke girl. I have broke gear and I make the best out of it that I possibly can. And sometimes that's just what you have to do. There's a lot of YouTubers that I follow who are photographers and videographers, and they always talk about the newest and the greatest gear, stuff that they like to buy and what they're into, and I've always wanted to be one of those people. And I think at one time I almost made it there because I was in a place where I could buy new gear whenever I needed or saw fit or was progressing more in my photography, and so deciding what I needed, what I didn't need. However, it did come to a point where I couldn't do that anymore, and so I've just been making do with the gear that I have. And especially not having a job, I can't buy new gear. So this broke girl uses broke gear, and if you're in my situation, can relate, I would love for you to comment below and make me not feel alone in this. We still love photography, we just can't buy new gear. So let's get started. My very first camera that I ever bought was actually this Canon G9. I think you can still buy this today. I'm actually not positive. But this was in 2008, and this was the camera that I brought to many concerts and took some of my very first concert photos. And it got me some pretty good photos. It was a very good camera to put in my purse. Honestly, at the time, people could still bring cameras to concerts and not get in trouble for it. Exactly. At least the venues that I went to, I could not bring a camera with a lens, but this was acceptable. My camera gear is dusty. This brings to my second camera. This is the Canon EOS 60D. This was the camera that began with weddings and with portraits of families, and the lens I have attached to it is a Tamron 60mm f2 macro. Honestly, don't even use it anymore. I don't think I have any need for it, and the biggest problem I had with this lens is that I would have to take at least 80 photos of one subject before I actually had one that was clear and focused. Had a very hard time focusing with this lens, so I didn't use it a whole lot, and I paid a lot for this lens to not really use it. You know, if you can like touch it and play with it before you make a decision on if you want to purchase gear, please do. Don't just buy it off the internet unless you're super confident. I used this camera probably about 5 years before I upgraded to the one that I'm filming this vlog on now, which is the Canon 80D. And yes, I know that is not a full frame sensor. It is a crop sensor. It is more affordable. That is something that I have actually wanted to upgrade more to, but remember, I'm broke. I've been pretty pleased to get by with what I do have. So other lenses that I have. This is a telephotic lens. It's also dusty. Why is my gear so dusty? A lot of this I actually haven't used in a really long time. This lens is a Canon 75 to 300 millimeter lens, and I believe it is f.6. I did not use this a whole lot. However, when I was starting to get into photographing football, I did use this because it was all that I had. It was also my dad's, and he used it for other things, but didn't take very good care of it. So I can actually shake it and I hear things loose, which is another problem. You don't want to drop your gear because you have higher risk of it not lasting very long and having a malfunction or something like that. But I still made do with it until I had a big girl job at one point, and I was able to buy this sucker. I did not use this lens near enough. This lens cost me a lot. This is the Canon EF lens 70 to 200 millimeter 2.8. I love this lens. A lot of photographers use this lens or another edition of it. I have not used it a whole lot, unfortunately. I really would love to get back into doing more with this lens. When I did church ministry, I bought this lens specifically to stand in the back of the congregation so that I wouldn't be a huge distraction when I'd be photographing worship or photographing whatever was going on stage. I could do more from the back than having to be up front where people can see me, or even be at the stage where I had to be bent down and my only angle would be shooting up instead of straight. At times I still would photograph that way, but this really cut back a lot of distraction, and so I'm very thankful for it. And since I don't really work in church ministry anymore, I don't ever use it, but I don't plan to get rid of it anytime soon. I absolutely love this lens. The lens that I'm shooting on this camera right now is a wide angle 10 to 18 millimeter 4.5. It's a great lens. I would have loved to have bought a different wide angle, but at the time I couldn't afford it, so I had to make do with what I had. But it has been a great lens. I haven't really had any complaints about it. The only problem that I will say about that lens right now is that there is dust particles in the lens. And people say, oh, well, did you buy, UV filters or ND filters? And no. Why? Because I'm broke. But you're a photographer buying all this gear. Yeah, I was broke then too. Story of my life. Can you relate? Please tell me you can. Probably my favorite lens that I love to shoot is a Nifty 50. Absolutely love this lens. 1.8. And I've used this for all my portraits, no matter what kind of portraits I'm doing. This is the lens that I use. And I just absolutely love it. This other lens is a 35 millimeter. It's all right. It's 2.8. I use the 35 millimeter more on hiking trips than I do the 50 when I want to create portraits. And last but not least, as far as lenses go, one of the most famous kit lenses, it is the EFS 18 to 135 millimeter 5.6. Actually, I think it could go lower than that. I think it could go down to 4 sometimes. This was the kit lens that came with the 60D, and I have definitely used this lens. This is a good everything lens. Unfortunately, I've had this lens for about, I want to say 11 years now, and I have definitely used this lens to its full capacity, to the point that it actually doesn't focus very well anymore. It needs to be replaced, but I can't do that right now because I'm broke. I still keep it in my bag. It is full of dust. There is so much dust in this lens, but man, I have taken many photos that I am super proud of with this lens. My little tech cards, which is only 3 right now. We have batteries. Battery pack. This is something that I rarely ever use. This is like a rain guard thing you put over your camera in case it's raining. Only once did I use this, whenever I went to Montana in case of there being rain. And there was a sprinkling of rain that happened once, and that was all that I needed it for, but I didn't really need to have it. And this is not really the greatest quality rain guard for a camera. It actually got really foggy in this plastic thing right here. So, and I can't get it out. So, I mean, I didn't pay a whole lot for it, but it was actually good to have for the time being because I was in Montana for about close to like 7 days, I think, altogether. And you just never know because rain could come out of nowhere. And so it was very, very handy to have, even though I've never used it since. Okay, so my camera is currently on 7 books right now on top of a dog crate. If you didn't know, this is my bedroom. Hello. Welcome to my bedroom. This is James Dean. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. And I got a movie poster of that. I also have a movie poster of Gone with the Wind in my bathroom. I love old classic movies and I love movie posters from that era. Know where I can find more to add to my collection? Let me know. This is the tripod that my parents bought me probably, let me think, probably about 10 years ago. Yeah, I want to say about 10 years ago. It is a Pro Master. I have definitely, oh, there's hair. I have definitely used this tripod for everything. I mean, it's to the point that some of the screws are loose and they stay loose. This little thing that you put your camera on doesn't really hold on tight anymore. Especially this thing, like this just causes us to wobble. It's not very secure. I can still move it really well, and this as well. Like there's so many, I have definitely used this tripod. It has a monopod option that you can take it off. Yeah, I know. As a monopod, and it's been very handy for a variety of different things. It's falling apart like everything else I own because I'm broke. These little things, you know, you gotta unscrew and and do all that, and it takes so long to do. And it's a big pain when it's like, oh, you know, you're hiking by yourself and you're like, I see the image here. Oh, hurry up, sup, the sun's going down, the sun's going down. And it's tiring. I wish there was an easier way of doing this, or I just need my own personal photographer to just take photos of me instead of me doing it all the time. Sometimes I feel a little embarrassed about the gear that I do have because, I mean, it's good gear, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you might call it newbie gear because you're supposed to progress. You're supposed to grow from that and replace your old gear with new gear that is more professional the more that you grow in your field of art. And unfortunately, in my case, and I know in a lot of other people's cases, we're not always able to do that. So I look at other people, I follow other vloggers and other photographers and seeing how well that they've come so far. But for some of us, we only go so far and we would love to go further, but reality hits and we can't do anything more than what we can do. I mean, we have other things in our lives that's besides photography, besides videography. We do have bills to pay. We have pets. We have other needs that we need to fill. And sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do because those things, unfortunately, have to take more priority than our art. There's many of us who are in that position and it's not ever really talked about. I mean, we have videos from vloggers and I am so for them of just continuing, of encouraging the photographer, the videographer to just keep going, keep creating art, do it for yourself, and those are amazing. But I think there needs to be more people really getting real about how hard it is to be in this field of work when you cannot afford to continue as far as you would like to. You hope to, and maybe it's going to take you a really long time to get to that point, but you should keep doing what you can with the best of what you already have. And because maybe you don't have the gear that a famous photographer has, it doesn't mean that you're less than them. I mean, hopefully it won't remain this way forever, and maybe you can relate, like there's a field of art that you want to get more involved with, but you can't afford it. You can't stop everything that you are doing and make it a priority. And I want you to know I completely understand that, and that it's okay. But with the gear that you have, make the best of it. And that don't let the less expensive gear that you have intimidate you and cause you like, oh, I'm not qualified for this. I will be completely honest, I feel that way. I don't feel qualified sometimes, but I have to take that lie and just toss it and be like, no, I'm going to keep doing what I do because I love doing it. And you know, one day I do believe for all of us who are watching this and who can relate, like it's going to change one day. It may not be the way that we want it to be or on the timeline we would like it to be, but that doesn't matter. Just keep creating for the sake of creating because it's what you love to do. And just share it and keep sharing it even if no one likes your photos or anyone gives you the time of day. Just keep doing it. And I hope that this video can be inspiring for you in some shape or form. I really do. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Please like this video and please hit the subscribe button. I would love for you to comment below who you are and where you're from and what kind of work you love to do and what you desire to do one day with the gear that you have or the gear you have yet to buy. I would love to hear from you. So I hope you have a good day and I'll see you next time.